Okay, we're staying with the exciting part of the market. We're absolutely delighted to have Steve Friedrich from Embraer coming up, and we're going to talk about. We're going to stick with innovation. We're going to see how you guys see the market. So let's start with the big question.
Right now, the market, the demand is rock solid. The first-time buyers that we had come into the market have stayed with us. They're sticky. They're no longer first-time buyers because they're now buying another aircraft, and I think that's important to recognize. The other thing that's happened has been as the backlog has grown, it's actually worked to the advantage of many corporate flight departments as well as the Fortune 500 out there. We're seeing very strong demand from them. The fractional business has continued to grow. And that is a direct result of what we see as wealth generation, wealth growth, and most importantly, long-term, that wealth transfer that's going to occur.
Are you surprised at how strong the fractional market demand has been?
No, I'm actually surprised that that it's not even growing faster. And I would probably say that the fractionals would look at us as OEMs and say, well, that's because of you, and getting those aircraft to us. Right now, as you see what's happening with that wealth transfer, I think it's amazing. I'm seeing more and more people come into the business and come in and say, I need to use business aviation because it's a productivity tool. This is not about a luxury good. This is about an absolute imperative to grow businesses and to continue to expand the economy.
When we talk about wealth transfer, what's the age of the person, the new customer? Because we tend to think of it, historically you think about it as someone in their 20s or 30s getting an aircraft, but it's probably not, is it?
We do see some of that. However, what we're looking at right now, and this is some of the data that we found, is that over the next 10 years, there's 1.2 million people with greater than $5 million in net worth, which is really, I'd say, the entry point that you'll see with some of the charter and other uses. And that is going to see a transfer of wealth from those 1.2 million people to heirs on the order of about $31 trillion. It's tremendous. And if you look over the 20-year period, it's $72 trillion. The average age of the heirs that are inheriting are 45 and above. Mostly it is looking at Gen X and millennials as the boomers. Am I still allowed to use that terminology? We'll go ahead and start transferring that. But the other thing that we're seeing, and it was discussed in some of the earlier panels, was the fact that the economy continues to grow and the wealth continues to grow here. And it's also self-generated. That's also what's impressive.
And how are you changing your business to cope, to target these customers?
So the key, and this has been the interesting point, during COVID, everyone said, hey, we can use virtual. We can use video. That's not really true. When we take a look at these customers right now, even when you're out at a show, at a regional or something else, all of them say, hey, it was great to see you. I can't wait for you to bring the aircraft to me. This is very much a high-touch business, and it is also a business where you have to show the product. Having your demonstration fleet out there, and I would also say having the fractionals out there have been a great boon to us because our aircraft are all over, and people can say, yes, I know what your product is. I want to know more. And then when we go out, how do we reach these people? The traditional methodology still works. However, social media has become more and more important. But one of the things that I say internally to our team is we are not salespeople, we are educators. We are here to give people the information they need to make an informed decision, and our team is viewed as a trusted advisor. And we'll be brutally honest. If our product is the best for you, we will tell you that. If it's not, we will also say, here's what our product can do, here's what our product can't do. These are your alternatives.
But has that ever happened?
You know, it's interesting. If someone wants an ultra-long range, large cabin, 3-cabin zone aircraft, yes, we're gonna recommend a different aircraft. I'm sorry, the Praetor goes 4,000 nautical miles, it's great. But that's something that, again, people have to take a look at.
The other thing that so you've touched on demand. So you're confident, rock solid on demand. Let's talk about supply.
So supply it's not even the elephant in the room, it's the obvious thing sitting right in front of you here. Supply chain has been something that has really restrained growth. To give you an idea, we have been able to consistently grow an average of about 12% per year for the last 4 years. And that is a direct result of the investments that we've made in our infrastructure. You've seen that. We continue to build, but we also need that same level of commitment and growth in the supply chain. The first, second, and third tier suppliers have become bottlenecks from time to time. We have changed fundamentally the way we deal with the supply chain. In the past, you've heard about just-in-time inventory. That concept is dead. It is now time to partner with your supply chain to sit there and provide long-term guidance, but more importantly, long-term commitment in the form of purchase orders and incentivizing the delivery in a timely fashion. And not just for that, but for everything that you're looking at for both new as well as in service, the fleet.
I think one of the problems with supply chain is you're competing, a lot of your suppliers are also historically are making stuff for commercial aircraft manufacturers who are trying to ramp up production. Some are making some are making parts for auto manufacturers as well, aren't they? How do you compete?
And that's what I'm saying is we have to fundamentally change. When you're taking a look, you've got to let your windshield providers, you've got to let your wheels, you've got to tell people this is what I'm going to be using, and I'll take this delivery as fast as you can give it to me. Be prepared to have inventory on the shelf. That's one of the things we've looked at. You want to make sure that you're also working with them from a quality standpoint. We have sent some of our best engineers into the supply chain, and not just first tier, I'm talking second and third tier, to make sure that we review the processes they're using to get those quality components so that when we assemble the aircraft, everything goes flawlessly. One of the things we say all the time internally is safety first, quality always. And that's part of the way we live that. It's not just in our manufacturing facilities, it's also with our supply chain as we partner with them.
You had actually pretty impressive delivery figures for 2024. Were you happy?
No. Yes, I'm happy that we met our guidance and that we were solidly there. I had really hoped we could do more.
And you're looking to ramp up this year?
We are continuing to ramp up. Some of the things that we've done just last week, we cut the ribbon on a brand new paint booth in Melbourne. We also did the same thing down in Gabbio Pajotto. And then we've also taken a look at what else we can do with our energy supply. And we've also put forth and broke ground on a brand new solar farm that we put into Melbourne. But renewable energy is something that we're using across the board through all of our manufacturing sites.
I saw the photos of you guys breaking ground. And I think one of the issues I have with this industry generally is we get these photos of people with shovels, and it'd just be so much quicker if you used a digger.
Well, how do you think that dirt got there to begin with? We definitely do. And by the way, if you come down and visit in Melbourne, there's a tremendous amount of construction going on. There we've got 1,000 acres that we continue to build out on, which has been very, very good for us across the board.
We just had a great session on innovation. How are you guys competing with innovation?
This is something that's in the very DNA of what Embraer is, and it sounds trite, but it's true. If you've heard me talk about Embraer in the past, they said, Steve, give me an idea of what Embraer is like. And it's not just aviation we do. We do military and commercial, not just executive aviation, we do military and commercial aviation as well. But other things that we've been really looking at has been, we run air traffic control for Brazil and a few other countries. One of the key things going forward when you take a look at it is going to be, how do you deconflict the cockpit? How do you make it easier to operate the aircraft in airspace? Autonomous flight, automation inside of air traffic control, these are all key things. And one of the things that you take a look at Embraer at, and the way we operate and the things that we do, we very much are a privatized version of DARPA, okay? So that's the way we take a look at it in terms of the innovation, the engineering talent that we have and we continue with. And it's about discipline. Because at the end of the day, what you need to look at with your customer base is, what do they need, okay? That's the key, is figuring out what they need and supplying that to make sure that you stay best in class.
We've got a question from Charles. Embraer's Energia project holds out the promise of carbon-free aircraft. What are the odds you will deliver a bizjet in the 2030s with hydrogen?
That's not something I see at this time. I think there are going to be other ways to handle that. We are very much focused on our verticals, our innovation verticals with zero emissions. Hydrogen is one area. However, I think SAF and other solutions are going to be even more important. And as I mentioned before, that solar farm is just one example of what we do in terms of reducing emissions in the manufacturing process, as well as in the maintenance process.
Any more questions in the room? What's your prediction for 2025?
I think right now we are in a golden age of executive aviation. I think everything is lined up to have another fantastic year, despite the fact that the backlogs continue to grow. We still have people every day showing up and buying aircraft. The number of purchase agreements we signed on Friday alone was surprising on a January. And it really did amaze me as we go through this. I think demand is going to be very, very strong. There are obviously some things that we've heard about over these last few days. Tariffs caused an uproar, and I told everyone, I said, everybody just calm down. This is just start of a negotiation. You have to recognize what it is and just stay calm. And the demand, like I said, Friday, despite whatever was happening, was still a fantastic day.
So while we've been speaking, the US has just announced a 50% tariff on Brazilian imports. Any comment?
I'm not worried about that at all. Not worried about that at all. You know, and it's funny that you bring that up because one of the things...
it hasn't, by the way.
I know. It's funny, though, that you mentioned Brazilian manufacturing because, as you know, the phenoms are all 100% U.S. Manufactured in content. And the Praters can be either Brazilian or U.S., depending on how it's finished.
But you're not worried. It's funny because, you know, your background, you know, before Embraer, you were at Rolls-Royce, corporate care. Before that, you were a banker. There must be something worrying you out there. And I feel bad doing this because it would have been lovely to end on the golden age of...
No, I still think, despite my concerns and what do I worry about, yes, I do worry about tariffs and the impact of what I call a reconnaissance by fire that's occurring in the economy right now from the United States government as they renegotiate various trade agreements. This too shall pass, and I do believe long-term it will be in good shape. Some of the concerns we obviously have are global conflict, what's going to happen with interest rates, but on the flip side of that, I do think we're going to see a return of 100% bonus depreciation. And when you have that, those things start to tend to offset each other. The other thing I would say as I look out at our customer base, despite the increase in the interest rate environment, the majority of the clients that we have are still cash buyers. Now, they may be refinancing after the fact, but I haven't heard interest rates be a real issue yet for them. Of course, if we had hyperinflation, they could be. But those are some of the things I look at and say, what can we do? What will impact us, and what can we think ahead for?
And just to end on your golden age of business aviation, what's making that happen? What are the conditions that have made that happen?
The economy. The economy. I have to say that overall, what I'm looking at right now is take a look at corporate profits, you take a look at the productivity that's occurring overall, and this is on a global basis. Yes, the United States is doing great, but so is Latin America. The strength in Latin America, I think, is really being underestimated, undercalled. Europe, despite the conflicts that are here in the Middle East as well, has also been very, very strong. There will be, I think, green shoots coming out of India and Saudi, as we heard earlier this morning. And then, the Australasia region will provide a very comfortable group, a handful of deals each year for our product base that I think will continue. So that's why I look ahead and say, where are we going? Fractionals are doing great. Corporations are doing great. The wealth transfer that's about to occur. And again, the convenience and productivity that you see from business aviation can't be overstated. It's really interesting to me when you have to fly commercial, the number of grumblings that you have. And I have literally had, I think I told you, the one day, the entire system just fell apart on me. I got rerouted mid-flight from one airport to another, ended up getting stuck in literally the back of the plane in the middle seat. And there was a husband and wife across the aisle from each other, and the two of them just looked at each other and said, "We're gonna miss our granddaughter's graduation now because of this. When are you buying a share?" And I said, "Which program?" They said, "We're looking at NetJets, FlexJet, and Wheels Up." So that's where I look at and say there's going to be, again, continued strong demand for business aviation.
And this is also how you justify making your sales guys fly an economy.
Who have you been talking to? No. Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate this opportunity to have a chat with you.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, that was awesome. Thank you.